today's video, I'm going to talk about exactly how to deal with the number one thing that's probably preventing you from being the best lover that you can be. It's Alex Long with Revolutionary Sex. Today, I want to talk about the thing that keeps most people from being great in bed. I think that a lot of men and women would be much more sexually powerful, except that there's this thing that gets in the way that keeps them from really feeling like they get to be great in bed. And there is something very specific that's in the way, that's between you and being that person who really can embody sexual power. And that thing is shame. We think that the better we know somebody, the less shame we have around them. But a lot of times, actually, the more entrenched in a relationship you are, the more you love somebody, or the more you have at stake, the harder it is to be truthful about your sexual desires and who you are sexually, because you're afraid that if they reject you, that's going to be a really, really big deal. And even when we feel really strongly, no, I feel good about my sexuality, I think sex is good, most of us carry some level of shame somewhere about the amount of desire we have, about our ability to be good in bed, or about some of the things that we desire that we think might just be a little bit weird. And the best way to deal with all elements of shame is to expose them. Shame and humiliation only survive in the dark, in the bottom of the closet, like mold, like fungus. And when you open the closet and you let light in, shame withers up and dies like Dracula in an old vampire movie. So the key here is, how do you get that light onto those things that you're ashamed of? And it's not an easy process, but it's a really worthwhile one. And it has to do with talking about the things that you're ashamed of. Number one best person to talk about it with, your lover, the person who you're in a committed sexual relationship with. And it may be very, very difficult, it may be very scary, but you want to bring these things to the light of day, and you might have to ease into them or create space where you tell your lover in advance, hey, listen, this is a really sensitive issue for me, and you may not find it a big deal, but I'm asking you to be as open-minded, as non-judgmental as possible. This is a really scary, risky thing for me to do, but I want to be as honest and open with you as I can as your lover, and I want you to know these things about me. That's a good place to start. If it's not a conversation you can have with your lover, you should reevaluate who you are or who your lover is in that relationship. And I'm not suggesting what you ought to do after that reevaluation, but I'd at least take a hard look at the kind of relationship you're in. And the other possibility is to talk to your best girlfriend or your best guy friend and just begin to inch towards revealing the things that you're ashamed of. What happens almost 100% of the time, I'm going to say almost certainly what will happen for you, is the person you tell goes, wow, yeah, I totally get that. I felt the same way, or a similar thing happened to me, or, that's really cool that you can come out and talk about that. Generally, people really admire your integrity, your authenticity, and your ability to speak what's true and to reveal these things about you. It makes them feel closer to you. Obviously, there are people that you don't want to talk to about these things because of some kind of a judgmentalism that they have within their cultural upbringing. But usually, when you expose these things about yourself, people respond extremely positively and reassuringly, and it can actually become very, very addictive. And it can make people feel a much, much closer bond of friendship with you. When you play this game with your lover, it gives them permission to talk about the things that they're ashamed of. And believe me, we all have them. So the game is played daily by noticing those things when they come up, by really excavating and looking for them and being super clear that there are certain things about yourself that you don't want other people to know. Find the least threatening one of those that you can, but find one and then play the game. Try it, see what happens. I think you'll discover that it's magical and that it works very, very powerfully to strengthen your bond of friendship or love with the person who you talk to about it, and that it almost immediately dissolves your shame around that subject, making you a more powerful and more self-expressed person in all areas of your life. When you begin to talk about these areas of sexual shame with your partner, you will discover that it opens up an entirely new world of sexual power and internal sexiness that really, really drives deeper intimacy and much better sex in the bedroom. This is Alex Holman for Revolutionary Sex. Be back next week with another great tip.